Our Reserve Bank's decision to take the Queen's face off our $5 bill and replace it not with King Charles but something Aboriginal has caused trouble for the King back in Britain. Joining me from London is Patrick Christie's, star host of GB News. Patrick, great to see you again. Look, for most Australians, this was a really stupid woke decision, but it seems to many in Britain it suggests something a little more serious.
It does indeed. The biggest problem for our dear King, of course, is that he's not the late Queen. And there's nothing he can do about that. It's a little bit like when David Moyes took over from Sir Alex Ferguson at Manchester United. But the concern is that he might be a bit too weak and too woke to protect the monarchy and the Commonwealth. Things like saying he's the defender of all faiths, not just the faith, as the head of the Church of England. He had the Islamic call to prayer in Windsor Castle recently, which certainly raised some eyebrows. He didn't say anything about Lent. He seems quite pro the idea of Britain paying reparations. Doesn't seem to matter for us giving away some sovereign territory in the shape of the Chagos Islands. Apologised to a woman who, in my view, falsely accused a member of the royal staff of racism. And this kind of culture of appeasement that the King has arguably been guilty of, I think shows you one thing, doesn't it? If you give an inch, then really the woke lot are perfectly happy to take a mile. And there really is a concern as to whether or not he is strong enough, or demonstrably strong enough anyway, if he's content to allow the slow eroding and the chipping away of the monarchy and Britain and Britain's influence on the world stage.
Yeah, well, tell your audience that what the Reserve Bank does not necessarily reflect at all what the Australian public thinks. Just look what they've done to interest rate policy for a long time. So they're about as representative as I don't know what. Patrick, just after Hamas terrorists slaughtered 1,200 Jews, kidnapped 250 people, some of them still in captivity, even bodies in captivity, we had a prominent imam here filmed saying that he was elated. It was a moment of victory, and people going, Allahu Akbar, as he was speaking. No action taken. You, in London, meanwhile, had, at about the very same time, a Muslim preacher in East London, in a mosque there, call for the houses of Jews to be destroyed. Here he is, he's speaking in Arabic, but he's been dubbed by an actor. Have a listen.
O Allah, curse the Jews and the children of Israel. O Allah, curse the infidels and the polytheists. O Allah, break their words, shake their feet, disperse and tear apart their unity, and ruin their houses and destroy their homes.
Well, that sounds like a declaration of war against Jews in Britain. What's the latest with that?
Yeah, so unfortunately for people who like justice and common sense, this guy happens to represent one of the many protected characteristics now in Britain, being an ethnic or religious minority, and crucially the most protected characteristic of all, being an Islamic preacher. We've already had people calling for jihad on the streets. They got off scot-free. Why? Well, the police did something there that they've done here, which is use some kind of Islamic expert who pops up and tells them that actually he doesn't really mean what he says. Now, we've got people in prison for having one too many drinks and putting something about a mosque on Facebook, which they shouldn't have done. But if you call, as this man did, for people to raise Jewish homes to the ground, by the way, in quite a Jewish area, then you can get off scot-free as well. No further action has been taken. They say that no criminal offence has been recorded here. But it really does make you wonder, doesn't it, what you have to say, really, to be
extraordinary,
to be criminal, to be incitement to violence, really, or racially motivated crimes, of course. It's remarkable, isn't it?
Look, I'm just stunned that there's nothing to do. I mean, let's just go and destroy, preaching the mosque, let's go and destroy the houses of the Jews. Nothing to see here, Patrick. Not hate preaching at all. I mean, really, God. Listen, you were having a go in particular, and I've had a go in the past at the King, woke, bit of a wimp. But in his defence, Patrick, it seems he's a whiskey man. He sipped a whiskey on his tour of Northern Ireland. The Queen pulled a face, but it was an Irish whiskey. She's excused. I understand his favourite whiskey is actually a Lafroig from the west of Scotland, from Islay. A Lafroig, L-A-P-H-R-O-I-G. And I have to say, that's not a wimp's whiskey, mate. That is as smoky as you can get.
Absolutely, no, fair play to him. It looked as though he and Camilla were enjoying themselves. I am an absolute devout monarchist, don't get me wrong. I'm just concerned that maybe he can use that whiskey to put a few more hairs on his chest and stand up for the monarchy and Britain every now and again.